All right, here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about the bandsaw, specifically to your spaghetti utensil. So when using the bandsaw, one of the things that it does really well is it really does well cutting straight. But it doesn't, depending on the width of the blade, doesn't always cut curves really well. And the last thing we want to do is stress this blade out and have it break when we're trying to use it, because these blades do cost a fair amount of money. So we do have to be respectful to the tool and making sure we're careful. So what we're going to do is learn something called relief cuts. And so what we're doing is breaking down this curve into small little tiny increments, which you should be able to kind of understand. So I'm going to go ahead and draw, and we'll do this in class today, some straight cuts in and out called relief cuts. And I'll kind of explain that to you as we go. So now I have a series of straight cuts, and what I'm going to do is when I turn the bandsaw on, I'm going to cut in and straight back out. All right, so I'm going to do that first. So I'll turn it on. Again, make sure my hands are on the outside, never behind, and never want to push towards the blade. That's really going to be important when we cut this longer part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these straight in and straight out relief cuts right up to our line. Again, I cannot stress to you enough when we do this that we cannot, if we cut into this area here, we can't get that back, right? We can't regrow the material that we cut too small. All right, so I have my relief cuts. Now the end here, right where we have this tapered edge, we're gonna use the disc sander to help with that. So we're really just gonna notch it off. It doesn't have to really even be that curved. We're just gonna kind of get rid of the, so I have just a small curve to it. I really didn't even, it's really more straight than anything. I'm gonna do the same thing kind of on this side. So the last thing we want to do is stress that blade out. So this is going to be totally fine, and we still have the line there, so we'll be able to sand right up to that. So now I have all my relief cuts, and so instead of, I'll notch this end off here real quick. So instead of making a series of making one long cut right here, I'm going to make a series of really short cuts. So the first thing students always do is they kind of want to go in and turn right away. We have to go in kind of on an angle. We're going to follow that line here, and we're just going to kind of connect the dots to our relief cuts. And what you'll notice is, as we go, those little pieces are going to keep breaking out, which is what we want. So you can see it's moving right along here. It has this little bit of a jagged edge on it. That's going to be totally fine too. We're not going inside our area that we need cut. We're just going to keep continuing. And if you want to go from the other side so you're not getting too close to the edge, that's fine too. I'm going to go kind of on an angle here on this first one, because that's a pretty sharp turn, and then I'll turn it here. I'm going to go this way. So if you hear the pitch of the bandsaw changing, then we're going too tight. The curve is too snug, and we got to be careful with what we're doing. So we're just kind of gradually going around here. Then this portion here, I'll help you with this. I'm not the pose that you're using the belt sander or the disc sander, but this is a pretty tough curve to make, and because we're using the bandsaw, or excuse me, the belt sander a little bit differently, I will help you with this. But I'm gonna have you sand this outside part and this outside edge. And we'll do that using the disc and the belt. So here is the belt sander, and I will help you kind of do that. that curve center where I want it, so it looks kind of pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'm going to go over to the disc, and I'll reassure again in telling you this, that remember, we only can work on the left side of the disc sander. We can't work on this side here because it'll fly off here. We need to make sure we stay only on the left-hand side. The other thing we don't want to do, we don't want to burn our material. So we burn it by having it stay in one spot for a longer period of time. So we want to move this around and blend in this edge and then blend in this radial edge on the end here. So I'll turn the belts here, excuse me, the disc sander on. Work on that left-hand side. Notice I'm keeping it moving. Do this side now here. Be really, really careful of your fingers, because if it touches that disc, you can imagine what's going to happen. I'm really happy with this, and for the way we cut it out, it looks really good. The shape is great, and now I'm just going to sand it and clean it up, and tomorrow I'll focus on the pegs. So I think this is easier to see a video like this than to actually have you visually see me do it in class, because if you can't see, if you're in the back and you can't see, then you don't know. And we need everyone, all of you, to know exactly how to do this, because you're going to step in front of those machines. And like I said yesterday, I'm not going to be right by you on every one of these. And I need you to be able to trust you and know that you're going to be able to cut this and be careful. So this looks great to me. Today's short little video is brought to you by Delta, which is the brand of our one of our bandsaws and our disc sander. One of my favorite tools. They're represented with the gray and black, but they are a great tool, and I think they're one of the best when it comes to standard shop tools.